Welcome to the stage, Mr. Reginald Foreman.
I'm checking my mask, I'm checking my gun, I'm peeking out the window. Next thing I know, they roll up. I jump out the car, run inside the bank. Y'all know what this is, everybody get out. Nobody gets hurt, just give me the money. We got a man over here in the corner. Oh, don't worry about it, it's only money, it's only money. I need this money. He's trying to stall me. I shoot the gun into the ceiling. Down to the left of me is a woman, looked like she was paralyzed, screaming. Uncontrollably crying. I'm trying not to watch her because my heart is feeling for her, but I gotta get this money. 19 years old, I robbed a bank. This is not a movie. This is my life. This is right after Set It Off came out, the movie with Clean Latifah in them. So people started asking me, what made you rob a bank? Let's go back a little bit. Born in Chicago, Illinois. My mother was on drugs. She ended up in prostitution. I was a pee-wee, what they call in Chicago, a pee-wee, joining the gangs. Ran home every day. Had to learn how to fight. First, I was a track star because I had to run so much. Till I got tired. My step-grandmother at that time was sitting me down to the store. See, St. Louis, Chicago, you cross one spot, you into the next gang territory. So I'm going to the store to get milk and get food for her, and I got to worry about dodging cars and worry about getting jumped because I'm from the other side of the neighborhood. Inside of Chicago, got into gangs, then finally I thought it was going to be over there. I got moved, went to Alabama for a little spell, still with my grandmother and them, got into, my cousin, one of her boyfriends got into the wrong clique, getting in trouble there, kept going. Had a chip on my shoulder from being bullied. Finally moved to Miami, Florida. I'm talking about corporate America house. My stepmother used to be a Dolphins cheerleader, a model. My father was corporate America. It was like the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, so I thought. Moved there, found out there was a couple of things going on behind the closed doors that my father and them didn't have in order because I never seen them argue. Next thing I know, my father started coming home late on Thursdays. Found out that he had partners and friends who owned strip clubs, and he was skipping out. I started hanging with the wrong crowd again. Got expelled out of 2 schools for fighting. Like I said, had a chip on my shoulder, which a lot of us have found out we thought we had something to prove. Being bullied turned me into this animal is what we say. Guy got expelled out of 2 schools. My father disappeared. This man went from corporate America, suits and suspenders, clean afro, we ain't had no ashtrays in the house, barely drink, barely smoke, to selling drugs and pimping women. Like I said, this is not a movie, this is my life. So he riding around in limos every day. I'm getting more and more into the streets. But at the same time, I'm feeling this inside. See, sometimes you have this feeling in you that God is telling you, this ain't what I want you to do. But I can't figure this out as a teenager. So what I gotta do, if I'm gonna hang with this crowd, I gotta become who they are. Remember that. Father disappears. I start getting letters in the mail from the bank saying that they're gonna foreclose on the house. So I'm like 18, 19, I don't know what this means, but now I want to stand on my own 2 feet and show people I can do it, because I had a couple of relatives that doubted me. So now I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to pay the mortgage because my father disappeared. So I'm thinking I got a 3-bedroom house with a pool, 19 years old. What I know, I'm going to keep trying to hustle. Never sold drugs before, but what I was called a robber. I was what we call a jack boys, bare-handed. Snatch people out of their cars, kick doors in. I was a robber. Met with a friend, his brother robbed malls, banks, everything. So it's just like when you seeking to do the right thing, God can open doors for you. How I'm trying to do wrong, I don't meet people who rob banks. 19 years old, we start making the plans to rob the bank. One time as we going out the house, my friend who was doing all his crimes was a 7-day Adventist. As we're getting ready to go out the house, he's on his knees praying. I look over and say, what are you praying for? I'm praying that we don't go to jail. First sign that I was like, man, what are you talking about? Go to the bank, we back to the scenario where I told you, jump in, rob the bank, pull off, got away with the money. I had 2 warnings. My friend said, look, we're gonna burn everything. The gun, everything we burn. I said, yeah, I'm gonna burn it. I put it in the shoebox in the top of the closet, didn't listen to him. Pull out, drive off. In the stolen car that we had stole, I still got the stolen car, riding around in. Riding around in the car. One of my homeboys who was up under my wings, I'm thinking that I'm the big guy. I robbed the bank, I'm the guy. He pulls up, get off the school bus. He was 16. He says, I told him, man, I did it. We shake hands, we do it. He said, man, you know that they can trace that cell phone that you still got to the bank robber. I still had the cell phone from the lady's purse when I robbed the bank. I robbed everybody in the bank and I robbed the bank. Still had her cell phone. That was the second time. He was like, man, you know they can trace that. Man, you know who did this? I did this. I can handle this. See, when you're doing wrong, you get prideful. As I'm riding up to the North Miami, I'm living in Miami from South Miami, going to meet with one of my boys I call my brother. My plan was to go to Chicago, lay low, and flip some money and do some other stuff. I called my ex-girlfriend. You know when you break up with somebody, you make that money, you want to let them know I made it. I called her, bragged to her, hung up the phone. I noticed that turned on the trace of the cell phone. As I'm going to the gas station, police car pull up real slow. I'm on the phone talking to my homeboy I call my god brother. I said, man, 5 were watching me, man. I like ease down the steps, get in my car, get ready to turn out the gas station. Shoot, they cut me off. Police car, I mean at least 15 cars, police cars coming out everywhere. Where the phone at, where the phone at? They was tracing me from the cell phone. 16-year-old partner told me, throw the phone away. Didn't listen. So, get arrested. What happened was I got illegally sentenced. They double charged me in state and federal prison. What they did was lied on the transcripts and said that I robbed the people. So what the state prison said, I robbed the people outside the bank and then ran in. A crackhead wouldn't do that. So you saying I stood outside, robbed somebody, and then ran in the bank so people could see me. They lied. The federal transcript said it was the transaction where he ran in the bank, we was at work. That's called double jeopardy. They charged me twice. I ended up with 9 years in state, 9.5 years in federal prison. I didn't know God had a plan. Sometimes God allows something big for you to really be changed, to be humble. So now I'm sitting there with 18.5 years, but it's running concurrent, meaning it's running at the same time. State judge, what I heard said, we're gonna run our time concurrent with federal. So while you're doing your federal time, your state time will go at the same time. As I come off the transit bus, one of the officers stopped me and said, Mr. Foreman, now all these other guys get on the bus to go over to the federal prison. He stopped me and said, Mr. Foreman, you gotta do your state first, then your federal. So if you're saying I gotta do a 9-year sentence first, then go do another one, that's 18.5 years consecutive, straight. I went from 9 years for my first offense, not my first time getting in trouble, the first time getting caught, to 18.5 years right before my eyes. In prison, I started thinking about what my grandmother said about trusting God. See, even when I was on the streets, God had times that he was coming to me. I bring God up a lot because I gotta let people know. A lot of people are acting as if he's not real, he ain't been speaking to you. God been speaking to me since I was doing wrong. We sitting in one of my homeboys' room, he wanted me to start selling drugs with him. On the table was a Bible sitting there. We sit in the front, I look at the Bible, I pick it up. It said, if you build your house on sin, it will surely depart, it will surely perish. At that time, I didn't know what scripture meant the temple, but for me, getting ready to go sit, I had to learn how to fight it. First, I was a track star because I had to run so much, till I got tired. My step-grandmother at that time was sitting me down to the store. See, St. Louis, Chicago, you cross one spot, you into the next gang territory. So I'm going to the store to get milk and get food for her, and I got to worry about dodging cars and worry about getting jumped because I'm from the other side of the neighborhood. Inside of Chicago, got into gangs, then finally, I thought it was going to be over there. I got moved, went to Alabama for a little spell, still with my grandmother and them, got into, my cousin, one of her boyfriends got into the wrong clique, getting in trouble there, kept going. Had a chip on my shoulder from being bullied. Finally moved to Miami, Florida. I'm talking about corporate America house. My stepmother used to be a Dolphins cheerleader, a model. My father was corporate America. It was like the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, so I thought. Moved there, found out there was a couple of things going on behind the closed doors that my father and them didn't have in order because I never seen them argue. Next thing I know, my father started coming home late on Thursdays. Found out that he had partners and friends who owned strip clubs, and he was skipping out. I started hanging with the wrong crowd again. Got expelled out of 2 schools for fighting. Like I said, had a chip on my shoulder, which a lot of us have found out we thought we had something to prove. Being bullied may turn into this animal is what we say. I got expelled out of 2 schools. My father disappeared. This man went from corporate America, suits and suspenders, clean afro, we ain't had no ashtrays in the house, barely drink, barely smoke, to selling drugs and pimping women. Like I said, this is not a movie, this is my life. So he riding around in limos every day. I'm getting more and more into the streets, but at the same time, I'm feeling this inside. See, sometimes you have this feeling in you that God is telling you, this ain't what I want you to do. But I can't figure this out as a teenager. So what I gotta do, if I'm gonna hang with this crowd, I gotta become who they are. Remember that. Father disappears. I start getting letters in the mail from the bank saying that they're gonna foreclose on the house. So I'm like 18, 19, I don't know what this means, but now I want to stand on my own 2 feet and show people I can do it, because I had a couple of relatives that doubted me. So now I'm trying to figure out how I'm gonna pay the mortgage because my father disappeared. So I'm thinking I got a 3-bedroom house with a pool, 19 years old. What I know, I'm gonna keep trying to hustle. Never sold drugs before, but what I was called a robber. I was what we call a jack boys, bare-handed. Snatch people out of their cars, kick doors in. I was a robber. Met with a friend, his brother robbed malls, banks, everything. So it's just like when you seeking to do the right thing, God can open doors for you. How I'm trying to do wrong, I end up meeting people who rob banks. 19 years old, we start making the plans to rob the bank. One time as we going out the house, my friend who was doing all his crimes was a 7-day Adventist. As we're getting ready to go out the house, he's on his knees praying. I look over and say, what are you praying for? I'm praying that we don't go to jail. First sign that I was like, man, what are you talking about? Go to the bank, we back to the scenario where I told you, jump in, rob the bank, pull off, got away with the money. I had 2 warnings. My friend said, look, we're gonna burn everything. The gun, everything we burn. I said, yeah, I'm gonna burn it. I put it in the shoebox in the top of the closet, didn't listen to him. Pull out, drive off, and the stolen car that we had stole, I still got the stolen car riding around in. Riding around in the car, one of my homeboys who was up under my wings, I'm thinking that I'm the big guy, I robbed the bank, I'm the guy. He pulls up, get off the school bus, he was 16, he says, I told him, man, I did it, we shake hands, we do it. He said, man, you know that they can trace that cell phone that you still got to the bank robber. I still had the cell phone from the lady's purse when I robbed the bank. I robbed everybody in the bank and I robbed the bank. Still had her cell phone. That was the 2nd time. He was like, man, you know they can trace that. Man, you know who did this? I did this. I can handle this. See, when you're doing wrong, you get prideful. As I'm riding up to the North Miami, I'm living in Miami from South Miami, going to meet one of my boys I call my brother. My plan was to go to Chicago, lay low, and flip some money and do some other stuff. I called my ex-girlfriend. You know when you break up with somebody, you make that money, you want to let them know I made it. I called her, bragged to her, hung up the phone. I noticed that turned on the trace of the cell phone. As I'm going in the gas station, police car pull up real slow. I'm on the phone talking to my homeboy, I called my god bro. I said, man, 5 watching me, man. I like ease down the steps, get in my car, get ready to turn out the gas station. They cut me off. Police car, at least 15 cars, police cars coming out everywhere. Where the phone at? Where the phone at? They was tracing me from the cell phone. 16-year-old partner told me, throw the phone away. Didn't listen. So, get arrested. What happened was I got illegally sentenced. They double charged me in state and federal prison. What they did was lied on the transcripts and said that I robbed the people. So what the state prison said, I robbed the people outside the bank and then ran in. A crackhead wouldn't do that. So you saying I stood outside, robbed somebody, and then ran in the bank so people could see me. They lied. The federal transcript said it was the transaction where he ran in the bank, we was at work. That's called double jeopardy. They charged me twice. I ended up with 9 years in state, 9.5 years in federal prison. I didn't know God had a plan. Sometimes God allows something big for you to really be changed, to be humble. So now I'm sitting there with 18.5 years, but it's running concurrent, meaning it's running at the same time. State judge, what I heard said, we're gonna run our time concurrent with federal. So while you're doing your federal time, your state time will go at the same time. As I come off the transit bus, one of the officers stopped me and said, Mr. Foreman, now all these other guys get on the bus to go over to the federal prison. He stops me and says, Mr. Foreman, you got to do your state first, then your fed. So if you're saying I got to do a 9-year sentence first and then go do another one, that's 18 and a half years consecutive, straight. I went from 9 years for my first offense, not my first time getting in trouble, the first time getting caught, to 18 and a half years right before my eyes. In prison, I started thinking about what my grandmother said about trusting God. See, even when I was on the streets, God had times that he was coming to me. I bring God up a lot because I got to let people know. A lot of people are acting as if he's not real. He ain't been speaking to you. God been speaking to me since I was doing wrong. We sitting in one of my homeboys' room. He wanted me to start selling drugs with him. On the table was a Bible sitting there. We sit in the front, I look at the Bible, I pick it up. It said, if you build your house on sin, it will surely depart, it will surely perish. At that time, I didn't know the scripture meant the temple, but for me, getting ready to go sell drugs at my house, it was talking about a literal house. That was another warning God gave me. Get into prison. They legally sentenced me. I'm going to state prison. Now I'm suicidal. My mind gone because I didn't have no visits. My mother wasn't in my life. I ain't seen my father in years. Everything was falling apart. I'm in my jail cell cursing God out. What an F for you when these dudes was chasing me home from school. Where was you when my mother was beating me? Because my mother was abusive. They say hurt people hurt other people. I'm mad at God going off. But this is how I release the pain and the anger. A couple of days later, maybe a day or so, I felt a warm peace come over me. God told me clear as day, I have a purpose for your pain. This is what my message is called. There's purpose in your pain. There's purpose in your pain. 4 years go by in prison. What we call it a jailhouse boy, he came to me. He said, man, I want to help you, file your case. These guys been locked up 18 years, maybe 20 years long, and they know the case law back and forth. I could have been proud and say, man, I don't need your help. I'd rather have a paid lawyer. I accepted his help, won my appeal, get back in state prison. 4 years later, I'm in the state jail. While I'm in there, I get a letter from the federal prison. The letter says, Mr. Foreman, your case is closed, it's mute. You have exasperated your time, saying that you have no more appeals. So what they're telling me is, I don't have an appeal to get out of federal prison, I just got to do 9.5 years. Sometimes it always gets worse before you see God do great things. So I run to the cell, because what they got to do, the jail cell, you ain't never been in jail, you've seen it on TV. You got the bars, you got the brick wall. I had a mentor over there, Spanish guy, deep in the word. I'm calling his name. He comes to the wall, talking to me through the wall. I say, man, they just closed down my case. I can't get out of the feds. I'm frantic, I can't get out of the feds. This man started laughing and praising God. Now I'm trying to see through the brick wall like Superman now. Like, man, what is you laughing and praising God for? He said, now you're going to see the power of God. You have no way else out. Now you're going to see his hands move. So I'm like, okay. When you talking about reading that Bible, part of the Red Sea, the walls of Jericho, everything was real to me. This ain't no movie. I got to believe everything in that. See, sometimes you get your back on the dirt and you still got that auntie or that friend you can call to bring money. But what happens when you don't have nobody to call? I ain't have no help. There's no way out. There's no way out but God. And sometimes you need that because you have to be able to see him move when that backup plan is gone. But see, so most of the time people get to that line when that backup plan is gone, they give up. Drugs, alcohol, they go worse. Me, I kept pushing. Get into the courts, I'm in state prison, the county jail. I get in, they said, Mr. Foreman, we did agree to run our time concurrent with the federal time, but somehow they didn't agree. So what we're gonna do is overturn your 9 years and just charge you for the gun. So they overturned the 9 years, I already did 4 years. So I'm a year over, I should have went straight home out the courtroom. They said, but we can't let you go because the federal prison has a hold on you. They have a detainer come to get you. I said, okay, but one is already done. So I'm like, all I gotta do is get the fair prison and it's over with. Get over there. Now on a Monday, state prison gonna pick you up. On a Tuesday, federal prison, it's a transit system. State prison is Monday, federal is Tuesday. They call my name to pack up on a Monday. So I'm like, why am I getting called on a Monday and I just got my case in state overturned? Why are you trying to figure it out? God is already working it out. They take me to I call it a camp. It was soft, you got computers, you got classes, but I'm still locked up. I don't care how open big it is. Writing the lawyer. I write the judge. I even write the prosecutor against me. Why am I still in state prison? Nobody answered. 3 is always my number. I don't know why. I don't try to force nothing out 3 times. 4 months go by. I'm sitting in the classroom. R&D come to get me, receiving and delivery. You come in, you go out. Lady said, Mr. Foreman, we need you downstairs. As I get up to walk towards her, I had a little Haitian homie I used to talk to. When I say he was wild, none of the old heads wanted to deal with him. But see, I learned something about troubled kids. They need discipline, but they need love. I was like his big brother. So as I walk into the door, he said, hey, boy, today is your day. Things happen when it rains. I'm like, what is that, some voodoo or something? I mean, things happen when it rains. It was pouring down raining outside. I said, I go down to the lady type. She said, Mr. Foreman, you have immediate release. See, I know I have immediate release because I'm still in state and I'm supposed to go to federal. But in my mind, okay, but the feds come to get me. So she said, Mr. Foreman, you got immediate release. So if they don't see a federal hold in there, I could be paid day for day for holding me. So I said, now my stomach bubbling now. Is there a hold on me in that computer? She said, no. I said, there's no detainer on me in the computer. She said, so I said, I'm gonna shut up and ride this out. All right, get changed clothes, they give you the $100 you get when you get out of state prison. I walked to the front seat of the police car with the officer, not the back seat. Me and her sitting side by side. I said, this thing real right here. She take me to the bus station, said, Mr. Foreman, have a nice life. We don't want to see you ever again. I get on the Greyhound, I start jumping up. I'm free, I'm free. I just beat the feds. See, what we call the feds is the real gangsters. Federal prison never came and got me. So now I remember, you need accountability if you really gonna change. When I got out of Miami, my father was gone, my friends were still doing the same thing where they was dead. See, I didn't say this. At 17, 16, my aunt in St. Louis, KIZOA, if you don't know who KIZOA is, Church of God in Christ Holiness down there, she said, you can come move with me at 16. I said, man, I ain't gonna be able to play my rap music, I ain't gonna be able to have no girls over. I told her no. But see, at 16, I could have been up there in St. Louis instead of robbing a bank. So I called her now, I'm saved now, I'm 24, I'm like, auntie, I need help. I need accountability. See, one thing about them up there, they work and they go to church and they're gonna make sure I stay accountable not to do crime again. Even though I'm saved and my mind frame says I'm not going backwards, you never know what happened when your back hit that door again, when you fall down again. And that's why a lot of us don't understand that people are there to help you be held up. You can't be a one-man army. You can't be on the island by yourself. Anyway, move to St. Louis, I'm dating the pastor's daughter, I'm going to church, I'm about to be the deacon of the church. My pastor's daughter started having dreams. I went back to prison. See, her mother's a prophetess, can tell you what color you had on what you was doing. So we believe the gift got passed down. She started having dreams, I went back to prison. I'm laughing at her like, I ain't even thinking about crime. I'm working at labor rate. I don't know where you are if you have labor rate. Tent service, paying $7 an hour to walk dogs, dig ditches. I'm doing the worst jobs, I ain't thinking about crime. 3 years go by. 6 a.m. in the morning, laying on the bed, one sock on, one sock off, I always remember. Heavy knock at the door. You ever heard a police knock or a marshal knock and wake you up out of coma? I go downstairs, U.S. Marshals everywhere. Mr. Foreman, we have a warrant for your arrest. Get in the police car, and turn around and look at me and say, you was let out of prison erroneously by mistake. So, changed my life, trusted God, moved out of the problem to another city, going to church, about to be the deacon, dating the pastor's daughter, and God allowed him to come back and get me. So this is what I see in the world right now, what we're having a problem with the hurricanes, with the shootings. Where is God? Because that's how I felt at that moment. Is God an Indian giver? Why am I going back to prison and I changed and I'm not doing crime again? Sometimes you don't get that answer right away. I'm in prison again. I'm talking about suicidal, tears, I'm gone. Dude came up to me, an old head, older guy in the faith. Now these guys I get a chance to look up to. Life sentences, trusting God. I done seen these guys walk away from fights and give me soups when I'm home. Because sometimes when you're on the streets and the dude come up to you in soup and tell you about God, like, oh, hey, you don't know what I've been through. And see, God allowed me to see the dudes in the dungeon love him. He said, look here, man, I see a light on you. You got a lot that's going to happen for you when you accept my help. Again, I could have told him, no, you got to accept the help that comes to you. I'm going to say it again. Accept the help that comes to you. I said, yeah. Start working on my appeal. Speed it up, working on my appeal. Now, see, what I did was I started occupying myself in the situation. Started getting all kind of paperwork. I started taking classes. All these certificates I got in prison. All these certificates, while I was waiting on my appeal, I started bettering myself. See, what are you doing in the midst of while you're waiting? Next thing I know, appeal was up. So I did 4.5 years, 3 years on the street, and 4 more years. I did 8.5 years altogether on a legal 18.5-year sentence. Got out of prison this time. See, that was something that I figured out about God when he says he has a purpose for you. There was a prophet that came out of prison. Now, follow what I say when I talk about God, because I ain't one of them that try to overdo it. My roomie, my bunkie, had a dream that we was going to see a prophet. Day before the man came. Man had on all black, looked like he was Hispanic. The next day, a speaker from on the streets came out of prison, Hispanic, had on all black. Day before. Calling everybody up, prophesying. This is when I wasn't really that deep on that prophecy and stuff. Called me up, whispered something in my ear that only God can know. That you've been missing both sides of your family. See, he could have said you're going to see your family again. And you like, everybody hear that, you're in prison. He said you're going to see both sides of your family again. Oh my God. Then he started backing up, laughing uncontrollably. He said, you're going to do a great... The man was so amazed at me looking, you're going to do a great work for God. I've never let that prophecy go. He said, you're going to do it. He just kept laughing. You're going to do a great work for God. So now, I'm out of prison now. What do? The first time when I was let out of prison, I was lost. I wasn't pursuing my purpose. I'm not saying that's why I had to go back to prison, but I was just working day for day. This time I went to college. I started being a chef. See, what you start doing is trying to figure out, how can I make it? We yet to have said, God, what's the plan for me? So now I'm knocking on doors and trying to figure it out myself and say, God, bless me, instead of saying, God, which way do I go? Went to school for culinary arts, chef school, because I read the book about Chef Jeff in prison. This dude went to prison for 10 years for moving drugs out of New York, top chef all over TV. I said, well, if he can go to get on TV and go everywhere with a record, because I got a federal record, I can be a chef. That's not what I love doing. That's what I felt would work because somebody else was successful in it. That's another thing. Trying to be successful in something because you see somebody else made it, that's not your calling. That's not your purpose. I started taking up culinary arts and I found out I like cooking, but I don't love it. I believe that everything that you do, you should have a love for it so you can keep going. Ended up switching my major over to graphic design. See, my stepmother spoke something in my life when I was 15 years old. She said, 14 years old, she said, Reggie, you should do something with t-shirts and cars because you like to write and draw. Took culinary arts, ended up starting my own fashion line. Started my own fashion line, wearing one of my shirts right now and one of my hats. I went from making graphic design t-shirts, selling shirts out of the back of a truck, to getting a fashion deal, getting on the front of the paper. This is me and my lovely wife right here. We made the front of the paper. Now, when I got this, I thought they was gonna do an article on me. You're gonna open up the paper, see if you know how you have a little article in the paper. If you turn too fast, it's gonna miss you. Man, them people call me and say, boy, they put you on the front page, biggest day. That's why always you hear me saying God has a plan. Ended up doing that. Got a fashion magazine deal. Coverings magazine. This is me, this is one of my models. This is one of my models. Bam, there go my wife again. See, I ain't hiding my wife, she right there with me.
Yeah.
So, because my time coming up, what had happened was, God was telling me to make a shift. You need to write a book. Because I started noticing, I wanted to say, well, now, God, I'll write a book when I'm in Paris, I'm everywhere, because my name will be bigger, you'll sell more books. Books, you think about money. God said, no, people need to hear your story and be set free. I'll handle that. But I ran from God for 2 years. I didn't want to write no book. Finally wrote the book. Why? Because I was at Cornelius Williams, Play Football Hall of Fame Church in St. Louis, speaking there. When I got through speaking, like 5 men was like, man, where's your book? Your story's crazy. We want to hear more. I said, okay, God. Wrote the book, Live Determined. Don't let your struggles bully your dreams. This book has got me on CBN 700 Club, TBN. Being an author and being, no, forget all that, being obedient. Because I tried to run away from that. So as I close, you need 3 things to help you stay strong. What is your why? If you don't have a why you're doing something, you'll give up. When I was in prison, the dudes would get fighting and get in trouble. I would say, listen, when you get into a fight and get put in a hole or get locked up, you can't have no visits. You can't see your kids. You need to put your son, your mother, whatever in your cell and say, I'm going to ignore this Negro in prison, and I want to see my kids. You need a why. Because it's going to get dark. That why will give you life when it get hard. You looking around and then you ain't got one cell. Ain't nobody came to hear you speak. That why needs to be strong. Then there's number 2. I had to renew my mind. When I read Romans, he said we be transformed by the renewing of our mind. See, I was a suicidal, violent dude. All I thought was negative. Man, that ain't gonna work. You question everything somebody tell you. You have a negative mindset. You have to renew your mind. Be transformed by renewing your mind. How I did that, I made a positive atmosphere. If you heard of vision boards, you put a board up, you put up what you want to visualize and believe you're going. I needed a vision atmosphere. In my car, on my refrigerator, I had positive words and pictures. Everywhere I walked through in the house and the bathroom, I saw something positive to renew my mind. You got to have a transforming mind, because that's what the battle is. A lot of it ain't even what's going on outside, it's how you look at it. Number 3, keep your spiritual and your mental tank full. This is very serious. See, you done got the hype, you done make the vision board. Now the enemy comes a little later. It might be come through somebody close. Me and my wife bumped heads before. Might be through a child. See, the only way you keep your spiritual mental tank full is people get in a situation, they wait 3 days to pray. You gotta pray immediately, or your prayer's gonna be bouncing off the wall. And how I renew my mind? I'm always watching life coaches. I'm always watching new things. I stay with videos, I keep it before me. What I call it is changing the channel. See, when you hear that negative in your mind, you ain't gonna make it. Your mother was on drugs and prostitution. They took you out of prison. Man, who gonna hire you? You turn on somebody that had it worse than you and they made it. You keep your mental and your spiritual tank full so that when it comes, you got a brick wall right here. It bounces off. So those 3 things I want to tell you. You need a why. You need a vision atmosphere, I believe, not just a vision board. Everywhere you want to go in your house, you need positive affirmation. And then number 3, you got to keep your spiritual and your mental tank full. In closing, I said all that. It was hard to go through prison, hard to have a mother on drugs, hard to have a mother that was on drugs, hard to be growing up being bullied, hard to have a father that left me. But recently, me and my wife just went through something that was even worse. We was pregnant with twins. My wife had a miscarriage before that. So now we got twins. Now this is when Jay-Z and Beyonce got twins. We went around talking about from miscarriage to twins. I'm doing my own events, 21 Days of Greatness. We going up there telling our testimony. I got people crying, inboxing me saying, man, y'all testimony gave me hope. Y'all got twins. 3 days later, my wife felt some pressure in her stomach. She has fibroids. She was dealing with that. But when you believe in God, you don't look at the circumstance. You believe God is the miraculous, which he is, but you know when he is allowing something for a reason. We ain't thinking nothing's gonna happen. Her water broke. I was in so much doubt because I trusted God. We was like, maybe she peed on herself. That's how much faith I had. I don't even want to look at this, something finna happen. About an hour later, she took a shower, called me, screaming out, go upstairs. She's sitting on the edge of the steps. She couldn't look. I looked down, it was 2 feet hanging out of her vagina. My baby girl was forcing her way out. The baby died. I didn't want to go to church. I didn't want to talk about it. I was just mad. My wife was even worse. In the midst of that, all I could do was remember my testimony. What he did for me in prison, how he helped me, how he fed me. So many things that I didn't get to tell you that God brought me through. And then he gave me a vision of something to create. Because every time you go through a storm, you got the Mothers Against Drunk Driving. You got other things with the kids that's being killed in St. Louis, and people create these programs. Something good can come out of your catastrophe. I made this doll right here. This is my new guy, Reggie the Lion. Reggie the Lion is a positive affirmation character that speaks positive affirmation to kids to help them believe in themselves and believe in their dreams. I'm talking about, I'm writing an app, a movie script, another book. All this came through my pain of losing a child. I got doctors, I got people in other cities saying, man, my God, we can't wait. I've written a cartoon. You can follow that Reginald_the Lion on Instagram. But this was just supposed to be a mascot on a shirt that turned into an ex-offender who'd been to prison for 18 and a half years creating a cartoon character in a dog. So I'm here to tell you that anything is possible, but I got to say it's with God. I would not be trying to do something on this level through that pain if it wasn't for God. So I want to encourage y'all to remember what I said up here, that there's purpose in your pain. No matter what you go through, there's a purpose in that pain. Remember God.
Bottom to the Top tour is not a moment, it is a movement. If you've been inspired by the powerful testimonies of the speakers that you have heard today, you have an opportunity to have your own copy of the new soon-to-be-released book, testify. You don't want to miss the opportunity to read through the details of the stories, the trials, the challenges, and the triumphs of the 12 speakers featured on the Bottom to the Top Tour Atlanta. If you would like to bring the Bottom to the Top Tour to your local city and your local town, please dial 1-866-686-5836. Again, the Bottom to the Top Tour, not a moment, it's a movement.